Nobody in personal finance wants to say this out loud, so I will. You are not broke because you're lazy. You're not broke because you're bad with money. You're not broke because you didn't grow up rich or pick the wrong degree or live in the wrong city. The research doesn't back any of that. What the research actually shows is that most people who feel financially stuck are making the same 7 specific, fixable mistakes, not character flaws, not personality problems, mistakes. And there is a massive difference between those two things, because mistakes can be corrected. I'm Yash. I spend an embarrassing amount of time buried in financial research, behavioral economic studies, and real spending data, so you don't have to. And what I've found after going deep on this is genuinely uncomfortable, but it's also the most hopeful thing I can tell you, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which of these 7 mistakes you're making, what each one is costing you in real dollars, and the specific fix for each one. Not vague advice, not spend less, save more, exact corrections. Stay with me, because mistake number 4 alone is quietly costing the average person over $700,000, and most people have no idea it's even happening. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1, treating your income like your budget. Most people spend what they make, not because they're reckless, because nobody ever taught them a different way to operate. You get paid, the money hits your account, life costs what life costs, and somehow the month ends before the money does. Sounds familiar? Here's what that habit is actually doing to you mathematically. If you earn $55,000 a year and spend $54,000 of it, you're saving roughly $83 a month. At that rate, building a $25,000 emergency fund takes over 25 years. That is not a savings problem. That is a system problem. And the fix is not willpower, it's sequencing. Pay yourself first, before bills, before groceries, before the 4 subscriptions you forgot you signed up for. Automate a transfer to savings the same day your paycheck lands. Even $200 a month, automated, removes the decision entirely. You stop spending it because it never sits in your account long enough to spend. The system does the discipline for you. Mistake number 2, keeping your money in a savings account that's quietly losing value every single month. Here's the uncomfortable math. The national average interest rate on a standard savings account right now is around 0.46%. Inflation over the last several years has averaged well above 3%. So if you're keeping $10,000 in a regular savings account, the number goes up slightly, but what that money can actually buy goes down faster. You're losing purchasing power while watching your balance grow. That is a financial illusion. High-yield savings accounts, which are FDIC insured, not some sketchy product, were paying between 4 and 5% in 2024. That's not investing, that's not risk, that's just not leaving your money in the wrong place. For your emergency fund, your short-term savings, anything you need in the next 12 months, there is zero reason to park it somewhere earning less than 1%. Mistake number 3, and this one surprises almost everyone, paying off all your debt before you invest a single dollar. I know how that sounds. Stay with me. Not all debt is the same animal. High-interest debt, credit cards charging 22%, 24%, 26%, yes, that should be your financial priority. The math on that is undeniable. But here's where the conventional wisdom completely falls apart. If you are aggressively paying off a 5% student loan while ignoring your employer's 401k match, you're leaving guaranteed money on the table. A 4% employer match is a 100% return on that contribution before the market does anything. Choosing to pay off a 5% loan instead of capturing a 100% match is just objectively worse math. Full stop. The rule is not pay off all debt first. The actual rule is eliminate high-interest debt aggressively, capture any free employer match, then compare interest rates for everything else. That order matters a lot.
Now, mistakes 4 and 5. These are the ones I want you to pay close attention to, because this is where the real money gets lost. Not in small amounts, in life-changing amounts. Mistake number 4, lifestyle inflation. And I want to take real time here because this one is completely silent. You don't feel it happening until it's already happened. Here's exactly how it works. You're making $45,000. Life feels tight. You get a raise to $55,000. You exhale. You upgrade your apartment because you deserve it. You get a slightly better car payment. You start eating out more because you can now. You add a few subscriptions. None of it feels irresponsible. Each one feels earned. And then 6 months later, somehow, life feels tight again. You are making more money than you have ever made in your life, and it still isn't enough. Behavioral economists call this hedonic adaptation. Your brain adjusts to new levels of comfort almost immediately. What felt like a luxury becomes the baseline becomes the minimum, and the minimum starts costing you everything. Research from Princeton found that beyond a certain income level, lifestyle spending increases don't actually improve your day-to-day emotional well-being, but they do increase your financial stress. You're paying more, feeling roughly the same, and building less wealth than you were before the raise. Here's what this actually costs you in real numbers. You get a $10,000 raise. Lifestyle inflation captures $8,000 of it. That's $667 a month evaporating into a slightly upgraded version of the same stress. But if instead you invested just $600 of that raise every month and kept $67 for the lifestyle bump, over 25 years at historical market averages, that $600 a month becomes somewhere around $710,000. Not from deprivation, not from sacrifice, just from not inflating as fast as your income grew. Let that land for a second. The average person gets multiple raises over a 25-year career. If lifestyle inflation swallows 80% of every single one of them, you will work harder, earn more, accumulate more stress, and end up in almost exactly the same financial position you were in at 25. The raise feels good for about 90 days. The investment compounds for 25 years. Those two things are not comparable. The fix is what I call the 50% rule for raises. Every time your income goes up, commit 50% of the after-tax increase to savings or investment before you change your lifestyle at all. The other 50% is yours. Spend it however you want. Zero guilt. You still get the upgrade. You just don't hand all of it to a lifestyle that won't even remember it in a year. Mistake number 5, and this one connects directly to lifestyle inflation: not investing early enough. This is the mistake I genuinely wish someone had sat me down and shown me with real numbers when I was 22. Because the math is so extreme, it almost doesn't look real. Two people, same $300 a month. Person A starts at 25, invests for 10 years, and then completely stops at 35, never invests another dollar. Person B waits until 35, then invests $300 every month for 30 straight years, all the way to 65. Same amount. Person A invested for 10 years. Person B invested for 30. Who has more money at 65? Person A, by a significant margin. Based on historical S&P 500 averages, Person A ends up with roughly $590,000. Person B ends up with roughly $543,000. Person A put in $36,000 total. Person B put in $108,000. Person B contributed 3 times more money, invested for 3 times as long, and still has less. That is not a typo. That is compound interest. The early money has more time to grow on its growth. What this means practically: every year you delay is not just 1 year of missed contributions, it's 1 year of compounding that never happens. A 22-year-old investing $100 a month is doing more for their future than a 35-year-old investing $400 a month. The calendar is the asset, not the amount.
The most common reason people delay: I'll start when I have more money. I understand that logic completely. It's also one of the most expensive financial decisions a person can make. You don't need $1,000 to start. You don't need everything figured out. Most brokerage accounts have no minimums now. $50 a month, automated, consistent, is not nothing.
It's the beginning of a compounding machine that rewards time more than it rewards amount. Start today, not next month, not after the next raise. Today, with whatever small number won't break your month. Mistake number 6, not having an emergency fund, which means debt quietly becomes your emergency fund instead. Federal Reserve data shows the average unexpected expense that sends Americans into credit card debt is around $1,400. Car repair, medical bill, busted appliance, something that feels like a catastrophe but is actually just a completely normal life event that should have been planned for. Without an emergency fund, that $1,400 goes on a credit card at 22% interest. Pay the minimum, and that $1,400 ends up costing you closer to $2,200 over time. The same emergency handled from a savings account costs exactly $1,400. Emergency funds aren't about being wealthy. They're about not letting ordinary life events turn into compounding death spirals. 3 to 6 months of expenses is the standard target, but if that feels impossibly far away right now, start with $1,000. That covers the most common single emergencies. Build from there, in a high-yield savings account, not a checking account that earns you nothing. Mistake number 7, and this one makes every other mistake on this list worse, getting financial advice from people who are financially rewarded for giving you the wrong financial advice. This one is structural. A significant portion of financial advisors in the U.S. are not fiduciaries. They are not legally required to act in your best interest. They can, and some do, recommend products that pay them a commission over products that would genuinely serve you better. The industry term is a suitability standard versus a fiduciary standard. Suitable means it technically works for you. Fiduciary means it's the best option for you. Those are not the same thing, and that gap is where a lot of money disappears. The same dynamic plays out across financial social media, inside bank branches, in insurance sales conversations. Understanding who benefits from the advice you're receiving is not paranoia, it's financial literacy. Before you take guidance from anyone, ask one question: how does this person make money? And does that answer create an incentive to point you somewhere specific? A fiduciary planner charging a flat or hourly fee has completely different incentives than a commission-based broker. The research on this is not subtle. Here's what I want you to take from all 7 of these. None of them are about who you are as a person. Every single one is about what you're doing, and what you're doing can change, starting with the one on this list that hit you the hardest. If it was lifestyle inflation, the 50% rule, starting with your very next raise, automatic before you ever see the extra money. If it was investing early, open an account today, not this weekend, today. Whatever small amount won't wreck your month. Automate it, then increase it every time your income grows. If it was the advice problem, ask your advisor right now if they are a fiduciary. One question, watch what happens. The people who feel locked out of building wealth aren't locked out because they're not smart enough, not disciplined enough, or didn't start rich enough. They're locked out because they're making correctable errors that nobody ever specifically pointed at and said, here is what this is costing you. Here is the exact fix. Here is why it works. That's what you just got. 7 mistakes, real numbers, specific corrections. You're not poor. You're not broken. You're just earlier in the process than you want to be, and now you know exactly what to fix first. If this hit different than the usual finance content, subscribe, because this is what every video on this channel is built to do. See you in the next one.